The space station called Prime floated in the darkness between three star systems. It belonged to no one nation. No single species could claim it. The Galactic Combat Academy had stood here for over 200 years. Warriors from across known space came here to learn. They came to train. They came to become something greater than what they were before. Lieutenant Commander stepped off the transport shuttle and took her first breath of recycled station air. She was 32 years old. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun. A scar ran along her left forearm. She had earned that scar on Mars during the border conflicts. She had earned everything she had. The academy corridors stretched before her. The walls were made of some kind of white metal that reflected the overhead lights. Students passed her in groups of 2 or 3. She saw species she recognized and some she did not. A tall creature with blue skin and 4 eyes nodded at her. Something that looked like a walking tree shuffled past without a glance. Was here on an exchange program. Humanity had only joined the Galactic Council 50 years ago. They were still new to all of this, still proving themselves. The Academy had accepted her application because her scores in ranged weapons and tactical planning were the highest in her class. But today she would begin blade training. In galactic culture, skill with a blade meant everything. It was an ancient tradition. It showed that a warrior had discipline. It showed that they had honor. Training Hall 7 was larger than any room had ever seen. The ceiling rose 50 meters above the floor. Weapons lined the walls. Swords, spears, axes, and blades of every shape hung in neat rows. Some of them glowed with strange energy. Others looked simple and old. 40 students stood in formation, took her place among them. She saw beside her. The creature stood on 4 legs and had mandibles that clicked softly. On her other side was The massive being was made of what looked like gray stone. It stood 3 meters tall and had no visible eyes. The instructor entered through a door at the far end of the hall. Had read about his species. They had 4 arms, compound eyes that could see in nearly every direction, and an exoskeleton harder than most metals. This one was old. His shell had faded from bright green to a dull brown, but he moved with a grace that spoke of decades of training. "I am Blade Master," he said. His voice was deep and rough. "I have trained warriors for 60 cycles. I have seen students from every known species pass through these halls. Some of them became legends. Most of them became adequate. A few became corpses. The difference between these outcomes is simple. It is whether you listen to what I teach you." He walked along the line of students. His 4 arms were folded behind his back. His compound eyes seemed to look at everyone at once. "Today we begin with fundamentals. Before you can learn to fight, you must understand what fighting is, what it is not. You must learn the limits of your body. Every species has limits. Even the mighty. Understanding these limits is the first step toward mastery." He stopped walking and turned to face them all. "Let us discuss a common myth. Many young warriors come to me with dreams of dual wielding. They have seen it in entertainment programs. They have read about it in stories. They believe they can hold 2 weapons and fight with both at the same time. They are wrong." Felt her attention sharpen. She had grown up learning from her grandmother, 2 sticks, 2 blades, it was in her blood. "No species can truly dual wield," continued. "What you see in those programs is fantasy. In reality, the brain cannot process 2 independent combat sequences at the same time. Even we, with our 4 arms, fight with paired limbs. 2 arms work together on one action while 2 others work on another. True independence is impossible. The neural architecture does not exist in any known species." He paused. His compound eyes swept across the students. "Some of you may have heard of warriors who fought with 2 weapons. Yes, this exists in many cultures, but look closely at what they actually do. One weapon attacks, the other defends. They take turns. The brain switches focus between them. This is sequential action, not simultaneous. It is a trick, a technique. It is not true dual wielding." Raised her hand. Looked at her. Yes, the human. With respect, Blade Master said, I disagree. Silence fell over the training hall. The other students turned to look at her. The beside her clicked its mandibles nervously. Even the stone-faced seemed to shift slightly. Tilted his head. You disagree, with 60 cycles of experience, with the established science of combat neurology. Please, human, enlighten us. Humans have traditions of dual wielding that go back thousands of years, said. She kept her voice calm and steady. Developed Ryu in the 1600s. Filipino has been passed down for generations. European sword schools taught rapier and dagger together. These were not tricks. These were fighting systems that worked in real combat. Historical curiosities said, I do not doubt that your ancestors believed they were dual-wielding, but belief is not reality. No brain can process two independent attack patterns simultaneously. This is not opinion. This is neuroscience. Human brains are different, said. All brains have the same fundamental limitations. All brains you have studied, corrected. Was silent for a long moment. His compound eyes reflected the light in strange patterns. Finally, he gestured toward the weapons rack. Very well, demonstrate. Show us this impossible human ability. If you fail, you will spend the next week cleaning this hall on your hands and knees. If you succeed, he paused. Well, that will not happen. Walk to the weapons rack. She could feel 40 pairs of eyes on her back. Some of those eyes were compound. Some had no pupils, some glowed in the dim light. She chose 2 training swords. They were short blades balanced for the Academy's standard forms. They felt good in her hands. They felt right. Activated 3 combat drones. They floated into the air around her. Basic difficulty, he said. The same test we give to first-year students. Try not to embarrass yourself too badly, human. Took a breath. She let it out slowly. She thought of her grandmother. She thought of the backyard in Manila where she had learned to fight. She thought of the sound of rattan sticks cracking together in the humid air. The drones attacked. What happened next made everyone in the room go still. Did not defend with one blade while attacking with the other. She attacked with both, simultaneously. Her left blade caught a drone's strike and redirected it while her right blade thrust at a second target. Then both blades reversed direction without any pause between them. There was no moment where one hand waited for the other. There was no switching of focus. Both weapons moved independently, following their own patterns, controlled by the same brain. Stop, said. The drones froze in place, lowered her blades. How are you doing this? Demanded. His voice had lost its dismissive tone. Human neurology is well documented. You have a single primary motor cortex, standard bilateral symmetry, standard lateralization. Nothing in your brain should permit what I just saw. Humans are strange, said. Our brains change, they adapt, they grow new connections. Some of us can develop what scientists call independent bilateral motor control. It takes years of training, it takes starting young, but it is possible. Neuroplasticity, murmured. We knew humans had this trait. We did not know it could be applied to combat. My grandmother taught me when I was 5 years old, said. 2 weapons, every day, for 27 years. Stared at her for a long moment. Then he increased the drone difficulty. Intermediate level. The drones moved faster now. Their patterns became more complex, adapted. Her movements became more fluid as she read the attack sequences. Advanced level. She was not perfect. A glancing hit caught her shoulder. Another grazed her thigh, but she kept both blades moving independently. She kept fighting in a way that should have been impossible. Then the alarms began to scream. Red emergency lights flashed across the training hall. The drones shut down and dropped to the floor. A voice crackled through the station speakers. Alert! Hull breach in sectors 7 through 12. Hostile boarding parties detected. All personnel proceed to emergency stations. Moved toward the tactical display on the wall. His 4 hands worked the controls quickly. "Purifiers," he said. His voice was grim. "Religious extremists. They believe academies like this are abominations. They have come to cleanse us." Looked at the display. The purifiers had breached the station at multiple points. Their entry locations put them between the training hall and the escape pods. 40 students, 1 instructor, and a small army of fanatics in between. She looked at the weapons rack. Real blades hung there, not training equipment. Real steel, real edge. She picked up 2. "What are you doing?" asked. "Defining impossible," said. The emergency lights turned the training hall into a place of red shadows and sharp angles. Held the 2 real blades in her hands. They were heavier than the training weapons. The metal was cold against her palms. These blades had edges. They could cut. They could kill. Tried to contact station security through his communication device. Static crackled back. "They have jammed our signals," he said. "We cannot call for help." The students gathered around the tactical display. Counted them, 40 in total, different species, different sizes, different abilities. Most of them had never seen real combat. They were students. They had come here to learn. Now they might die. "The escape pods are in Sector 3, said. He pointed at the display. "Here, but the purifiers have established a position at the central junction. Here, they are directly in our path." "We wait for rescue," a student said. The aquatic species had blue-green skin and gills along its neck. Its voice bubbled slightly when it spoke. "Station security will come." "Station security is being overwhelmed," said. "Look." He pointed at another section of the display. Red markers spread across the station like a disease. The purifiers had brought more forces than anyone expected. Help may not come in time. Studied the display. She had memorized the station layout during her transfer orientation. It was a habit her military training had given her. Always know your exits. Always know your routes. "There is another way," she said. Everyone turned to look at her. She stepped forward and pointed at the display. "Maintenance corridors. They run parallel to the main hallways. This one bypasses the central junction entirely. It comes out near the auxiliary hangar in Sector 5. There are shuttles there. We can escape." Studied the route she indicated. "Those corridors are narrow. They were designed for service drones, not for people. We would have to move single file. No room to fight. No cover." "Better than staying here and dying," said. "Some of us cannot fit." The student spoke for the first time. Its voice sounded like stones grinding together. "My body is too large for service corridors." Looked at the massive stone creature. It was right. They were built like walking boulders. They would never fit through passages meant for small drones. "I am also injured," one of them said. Its arm hung at an odd angle. Blue blood seeped from a wound on its side. "I cannot move quickly." Another raised a webbed hand. "My leg, the explosion when the hull breached. I can barely walk." Counted 3, 2 injured. 5 beings who could not make the journey through the maintenance corridors. That left 35 who could try. "We split up," she said. The words came out clear and calm. This was what she had been trained for, not blade fighting, leadership, decision-making under fire. "Those who cannot travel stay here, fortify this position, hold until rescue comes. Those who can travel come with me through the maintenance route." "I will stay with those who cannot travel," said. "I know this hall. I know how to defend it." Nodded. "They are strong. They can hold the entrance if the purifiers breach this location." "We are made of stone," the largest said. "We do not fall easily." "If I can reach the auxiliary hangar," continued, "I can pilot a shuttle to the communication relay. Once I am outside the jamming field, I can call for help. Real help. Military help." Looked at her with his compound eyes. Something had changed in the way he saw her. This morning she had been just another student, just another human who thought she knew better than her teachers. Now she was something else. "Go," he said. "Lead them out. I will hold this position." 15 students followed into the maintenance corridors. The other 20 stayed behind to help defend the training hall. She had chosen the 15 carefully, the smallest, the fastest, the ones most likely to survive a running fight through narrow passages. The corridors were dark. Emergency power provided only dim strips of light along the floor. The walls pressed close on both sides, could reach out and touch them without fully extending her arms. Behind her, the students moved in single file. Their breathing echoed in the confined space. A student moved near the front of the line. Its skin produced a soft blue glow, bioluminescence. Its species had evolved in deep ocean trenches where no light reached. Now that ability served as their only lamp. Moved at the head of the column. Her two blades were drawn, her ears strained for any sound that did not belong. The station groaned around them. Distant explosions sent vibrations through the walls. Somewhere people were fighting. Somewhere people were dying. They were halfway to the auxiliary hangar when stopped. Something was wrong. She could feel it in the air, a presence that did not belong. A purifier stepped around the corner ahead. The enemy soldier wore armor covered in religious symbols. Its face was hidden behind a mask. In its hands was an energy pike. The weapon hummed with deadly power. The corridor was too narrow for anyone behind to help. Too narrow for ranged weapons without risking the group. Too narrow for anything except what she had trained her whole life to do. She attacked. In the confined space, her elegant dual-blade style transformed into something brutal and close. She could not swing wide. There was no room for graceful arcs or sweeping cuts. Instead, she thrust. She used her offhand blade to trap the purifier's pike while her main blade found the gap between armor plates. The enemy soldier fell. Blue blood spread across the floor. It was not human blood. It was not the enemy's blood either. Some of it was hers. A cut on her arm that she had not even felt. She heard more boots pounding through the parallel corridors. The noise of the fight had attracted attention. More purifiers were coming. Move, said, faster. They ran. The glow bounced off the walls as they moved. Behind them, could hear voices shouting in a language she did not understand. The purifiers had found the maintenance tunnels. They knew someone was trying to escape. Made a decision. She stopped at a junction where two corridors crossed. Keep going, she told the group. Follow this passage to the end. The hangar will be on your right. She turned to a student. This compound eyes could see in almost complete darkness. You lead them. Get them to the shuttle. What about you? They asked. I am going to give you time. Before anyone could argue, she moved down the other corridor, toward the sounds of pursuit, toward the enemy. She found them at the next junction, 3 purifiers. They saw her at the same moment she saw them. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then showed them what impossible looked like. The corridor opened into a small maintenance chamber, just enough room for real combat. 3 enemies. 3 energy pikes designed specifically to counter melee fighters. The odds were bad. The situation was worse. She did not fight them one at a time. She fought them all at once. Her left blade engaged the first purifier while her right attacked the second. Not defense and offense. Offense and offense. 2 completely independent combat sequences running through the same brain, the same muscles, the same will. The third purifier hesitated. It had never seen anything like this. No species fought this way. No brain worked this way. The hesitation lasted less than a second, but a second was all needed. When it was over, 3 bodies lay on the floor, leaned against the wall and tried to catch her breath. Blood ran down her shoulder where an energy pike had grazed her. Her arms shook from exertion, but she was alive. The path behind her was clear. She ran to catch up with the students. The had led them well. When reached the hangar access point, she found 14 students pressed against the door. One had not made it. Lay motionless in the corridor behind them. Did not stop to check if it was alive. There was no time. The hangar door opened onto chaos. 3 more purifiers stood guard over the shuttle bay. They were not expecting trouble from this direction. Their attention faced outward, toward the main corridors. Did not give them time to turn around. Her blades moved in patterns that should not have been possible, independent, simultaneous, deadly. The guards fell before they understood what was happening. The shuttle, she gasped, everyone in now. The students ran, counted them as they climbed aboard, 14. She had started with 15, one lost in the dark corridors, one life she could not save. She took the pilot's seat. Her hands moved across the controls. Flying was not her specialty. She was adequate. Adequate would have to be enough. The shuttle lifted off. Through the viewport could see the battle raging across Prime. Purifier ships clung to the station's hull. Explosions bloomed in the darkness. Fire and metal and death. She flew toward the communication relay. The jamming field thinned as she put distance between the shuttle and the station. Her fingers found the emergency broadcast controls. This is Lieutenant Commander of the Galactic Combat Academy. Prime is under attack by purifiers. Multiple casualties. Request immediate military assistance. All channels, all frequencies. Does anyone copy? Static silence, then a voice broke through. This is the GKF patrol vessel Steadfast. We are already en route. ETA 40 minutes, hold on. Closed her eyes, 40 minutes, and the had to hold for 40 minutes. She turned the shuttle around and headed back toward the station. There were still people to save. There was still a fight to finish. What are you doing? One of the students asked. Going back. That is insane. Smiled despite the pain in her shoulder and the exhaustion in her bones. That is what they said about dual wielding. Shuttle docked at an emergency airlock on the far side of the station, led the 14 students out into a corridor that smelled of smoke and fear. Emergency lights still flashed red. The station groaned like a wounded animal. Stay here, she told the students. Keep the airlock clear. When rescue arrives, this is where they will come. Where are you going? They asked. To find the others. She ran. Her shoulder burned where the energy pike had grazed her. Her arms ached from the fighting. Her lungs struggled to pull in enough air. None of that mattered. What mattered was the training hall. What mattered was the students who had stayed behind. The corridors were littered with debris. Panels had fallen from the walls. Wires hung loose from the ceiling, stepped over the body of a station security guard. Then another. Then 3 purifiers who lay in a pile near a doorway. Someone had been fighting back. She heard the sounds of battle before she saw it. The clash of metal, the hum of energy weapons, voices shouting in pain and anger. Training Hall 7 was under siege. Crouched behind a fallen support beam and looked at the scene. The purifiers had brought at least 20 soldiers to break through the hall's defenses. They had not expected what they found inside. The 3 stood at the entrance like mountains made of rage. Their stone bodies showed cracks and scorch marks from energy weapons, but they had not fallen. They had not moved. Every purifier who tried to get past them ended up broken on the floor. Behind directed the defense. His 4 arms moved constantly, passing weapons to students, pulling the wounded to safety, striking at any enemy who got too close. The old blade master fought like he had 60 cycles ago, maybe better. But they were losing, could see it. They were strong, but they were not invincible. One of them had a crack running down its chest. Another moved slower than before. The purifiers were wearing them down. Eventually, they would break through. Counted the enemies. 15 remained active. Too many to fight alone, not enough to make her turn back. She drew her blades and attacked from behind. The first 2 purifiers died before they knew she was there. The third turned and raised his weapon. He never finished the motion. His left blade caught his pike while her right opened his throat. The human, someone shouted, kill the human. 5 purifiers broke away from the assault on the training hall. They surrounded in a loose circle. Each of them held a weapon designed to kill. Each of them had training. Each of them believed they would win. They were wrong. Did not wait for them to attack. She moved first. Her blades became a storm of independent motion. She engaged 2 enemies at once, then 3. Her left hand while her right cut. Her right hand blocked while her left thrust. There was no pattern that any tactical computer could predict. There was no sequence that any trained soldier could follow. She was not fighting like any species they knew. She was fighting like a human. The 5 purifiers fell in less than a minute. The remaining attackers hesitated. They looked at the human standing among their dead companions. They looked at her 2 blades. They looked at the impossible thing she had just done. His voice rang out from the training hall. "Press forward, they are breaking." They surged forward. Their stone fists crashed into the purifier line, attacked from behind, led the remaining students in a charge from the side. The battle ended in chaos and blood. When the last purifier fell, silence settled over the corridor like a blanket. Stood in the middle of it, breathing hard, her blades dripping red. Walked toward her. His exoskeleton was cracked in several places. Blue fluid seeped from a wound on his lower left arm, but his compound eyes were clear and his voice was steady. "You came back," he said. "Help is coming," replied. 40 minutes, less now. We need to hold a little longer." "How many did you save?" 14 out of 15. The number burned in her throat. "I lost one in the corridors." "You saved 14, placed one of his hands on her shoulder. "Remember that number. It matters more than the one you lost." The Galactic Peacekeeping Force arrived 32 minutes later. Their ships cut through the purifier fleet like knives through water. Marines in powered armor stormed through the station, clearing the remaining enemies. Medics followed, treating the wounded, counting the dead. Sat in the medical bay of a peacekeeping cruiser. A doctor was treating her shoulder wound. The cut was deeper than she had realized. It would leave a scar. She did not mind scars. She had earned this one. Entered the medical bay. He moved slowly. His own wounds had been treated, but the old blade master looked tired, older than he had that morning. But there was something in his eyes that had not been there before, something that looked almost like respect. "I was wrong," he said. Looked at him. "About what?" "About dual wielding, about humans, about the limits of what is possible." He paused. His mandibles clicked softly. "For 60 cycles I have taught students what they cannot do. I have taught them the boundaries of their species, the walls that confine their potential. I thought I was preparing them for reality. I was only preparing them to accept failure." "You kept them alive," said. You held that hall against everything they threw at you. "Because you showed us what was possible." Sat down on a medical bed across from her. "When you picked up those 2 blades this morning, you did something that should not have worked. Every textbook says it is impossible. Every study confirms it, but you did it anyway. And when I saw that, I wondered what else might be possible that I had never tried." "Humans are stubborn," said. "We do not accept being told something cannot be done. Every major achievement in our history came from someone who heard the word impossible and asked why. Then perhaps that is what I should be teaching." Compound eyes reflected the medical bay's lights. Not limitations, possibilities, not walls, doors. 6 months passed. The station was rebuilt. The academy reopened. Students returned from across the galaxy to continue their training, but something had changed. Stood in Training Hall 7, the same hall where she had challenged, the same hall where she had first drawn 2 blades, but now she stood at the front of the room, not in the line of students. She was a guest instructor now. The academy had invited her back to teach a new course, a course that had never existed before. 40 students stood before her, different species, different sizes, different abilities just like before, but this group looked at her differently. They had heard the stories, they knew what she had done. Blade Master once told me that no species can truly dual-wield, said. Her voice was clear and steady. He said it was impossible. The science confirmed it. The experts agreed. And he was using the wrong definition of the word can. She walked along the line of students. A young caught her eye. It was smaller than most of its kind, but it stood straight and tall. 4 arms, 4 hands, 4 opportunities. When said can, he meant has been observed too. He meant has been documented. He meant fits within the existing understanding of what species are capable of. Stopped walking. I prefer a different definition. She drew 2 blades from the rack beside her. The metal caught the light. Can means capable of, given sufficient will. Can means possible, given enough training. Can means achievable if you refuse to accept the word impossible. She raised the blades and moved through a simple form. Both weapons traced independent patterns in the air. The students watched in silence. I am not here to tell you what you cannot do. I am here to help you discover what you can do. Some of you may never dual-wield. Your neurology may not support it. Your physiology may work against it. That is fine. The point is not dual-wielding. The point is that the limits you think you have may not be real. She lowered the blades and looked at the young. What is your name? Instructor. The young's voice was nervous but strong. You have 4 arms. Your species has always used them in pairs, 2 and 2. That is what everyone says is possible. Have you ever tried to use all 4 independently? No, Instructor. The neural pathways do not. Have you tried? Hesitated, no. Then how do you know? Gestured toward the weapons rack. Pick 4 blades. Today we find out what you can actually do. The young walked to the rack. Its 4 hands selected 4 short swords. It returned to the center of the hall and stood there, holding weapons it had been told it could never use independently. Now said, try the impossible. Moved, the first attempt was awkward, the blades tangled. The movements were clumsy and uncoordinated, but by the 10th attempt something changed. 1 blade moved while another was still. 2 blades attacked while 2 defended. It was not perfect. It was not graceful, but it was happening. The other students watched in stunned silence. Smiled, the impossible just happened. Who wants to go next? 40 hands rose. Some had 4 fingers, some had claws, some had tentacles. All of them reached toward the weapons rack. Outside the training hall, watched through a window. His compound eyes followed as she moved among the students, correcting forms, encouraging attempts, teaching them to push past the limits they had always accepted. He had taught at this academy for 60 cycles. He had trained thousands of warriors. He had believed he understood combat better than anyone alive. A human had walked into his hall and proved him wrong in a single morning. And he had never been more grateful for anything in his life. The impossible, it turned out, was just the possible that had not been attempted yet. And thanks to one stubborn human with 2 blades, the galaxy was about to learn just how much was possible. Had defined impossible. Her definition was simple. Impossible was just another word for not yet.